I'm here to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, the open game license, and its implication for the digitization of tabletop role-playing games. First off, here we have examples of the early Dungeons & Dragons game. These two are reprints of the original rules published by TSR in 1974. A few years later, TSR would begin producing a new version of the rules now labeled Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. This book, Deities and Demigods, is a later print run. The original contained content that was under copyright, and TSR was forced to destroy their remaining copies. This was not an unusual situation, as previously TSR had an artist plagiarizing comic book art for the game. In 1989, TSR would produce their last version of the game, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition. There were plans for a new edition, but in 1997, TSR was bought out by Wizards of the Coast. Wizards was a much younger company with different ideas in which direction they wanted to take the game. In 2000, they unveiled Dungeons & Dragons 3rd Edition. They made extensive changes to the system, streamlining the mechanics and giving it an internal consistency that was not found in earlier editions. This early run of the player's handbook also included a CD-ROM character generator, more evidence that Wizards was aware of the growing role of computers in tabletop gaming. The most significant change was the inclusion of the open game license. In a nutshell, the open game license made the Dungeons & Dragons mechanics open sourced. Any company could produce their own games based on the D&D rules, provided they include a copy of the OGL in their book and cited the source for those rules. Around the same time, digitized versions of tabletop role-playing games became available online, resulting in an explosion of new material, often of varying quality. Here are a few examples from both ends of the scale. Mutants and Masterminds is an astonishingly flexible superheroes RPG. To the right, we have a Splat book from the same time period. These were produced by small publishers. This particular book by Avalanche Press is infamous for their salacious covers. There was a fair amount of speculation to why Wizards of the Coast opened up their game mechanics to rival companies. The answer to this came in 2008 with the release of Dungeons & Dragons 4th Edition. This new version was not published under the OGL, leading to the accusation that Wizards of the Coast had been planning this all along, that the intent of the OGL was to see their competitors neglect their own brand, and when D&D 4th Edition came out, they would be put out of business. What Wizards did not count on was a fan backlash. At the head of the resistance was Paizo Publishing. Previously, they had been producing under license the Dungeon & Dragon magazines. In 2007, Wizards opted not to renew their arrangement, and Paizo began publishing a similar periodical, Pathfinder. Then, in 2009, they released an alternative to the D&D 4th Edition with the Pathfinder RPG. This game, published under the OGL, was an updated version of the D&D 3rd Edition rules. Pathfinder was meant to be backwards compatible, allowing it to support the earlier supplements created by small game companies. This competition, combined with fan disdain for 4th Edition, compelled Wizards of the Coast to include the open game license in their 5th edition of the game, released in 2015. Another unforeseen consequence of the open game license was the old school renaissance, which I will talk about in the next video.